Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to Starknet All Core Devs Call 20. I'm Ayush Giri, and today it's great to see so many familiar faces. So just a quick reminder that we are recording this call for the community members who couldn't join us live. So please keep yourselves muted when not speaking, and feel free to use the raise hand feature if you would like to contribute. So you can also drop any questions in the chat. And so before proceeding, I would want to check if like my mic is working and are you guys able to hear me properly? Okay. Okay. So today's agenda is particularly important as we approach some critical deadlines, especially around O13.4 integration. So before we dive in, I want to highlight that we have the February 20th deadline coming up for client teams. So we'll be focusing on readiness updates and potential blockers. So let's start with Leo. Leo, could you give us an overview of where we stand with the O13.4 timeline and testnet deployment plans? I'm particularly interested in any updates since our discussion in the implementation Slack channel, which we have for 4 days.
Yeah, so for now, all is going pretty good. The deadline of the 20th should be fine. Everybody, as far as I understand, is planning to be ready by then. So this means that once a release of nodes is out, it's gonna be more or less another week on integration to give the time to RPC providers and everyone to upgrade their node. And after that, we're gonna start the testnet. So I expect it to be towards the end of the month. There is no fixed date for that. Hopefully, it's gonna be pretty soon. But yeah, that's where we stand.
Okay. So we expect that by end of Feb,
Yeah,
these things can be completed. Okay.
yes.
Okay, so thank you, Leo. This leads us to a nice entry point to offset changes, which is Ariel. Could you walk us through the proposed changes in the depreciated classes? I noticed there were some concerns which were raised in the Slack discussions about potential impacts on client implementations. Okay, he's not there. So
Uh,
will you be able to take this, Leo, as well?
No, go ahead, Ariel.
yes, so I think um, this was handled, if I remember correctly. I didn't saw new messages about it, but there was a small change to old classes. It's essentially a very minor fix, but these classes are not declarable anymore, and basically it creates more work for the integration. So this is not related at all to the O13.4 upgrade. So we sort of mutually agreed to just not do it right now, which I think is completely fine. Um, so yeah, I think
Okay.
specifically for the deprecated classes issues, I think we're okay, and it's
Mm-hmm.
in RC3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So staying with you, Ariel, could you update us on the RC status? Like I'm particularly interested in the state diffs implementation progress and Cairo native integration status and the SNOS compatibility discussion which happened on the Slack channel.
Yes, so I'll start with the next Blockifier release candidate. So we had a few issues with native, and that kind of held back our release candidate. I think it was yesterday when they published a new Cairo native version, which fixes all the known issues to date, and hopefully early next week we can have a Vlogifier release candidate based on that. And I think from this chain onwards, the Blockifier APIs and everything related to native uh, will be stable. I don't know of anything in the pipeline. State diffs for the executor were merged, as far as I know. So if you
Mm-hmm.
notice anything still missing, then please do ping me. But I think that from now on, we're going to be pretty stable. There may be internal updates to native, but these should be pretty much transparent from the point of view of using the block, from the point of view of using the blockifier dependency. So we can bump Cairo native, and it won't affect anyone. We may not start using native in the sequencer alongside the update as we wait for another optimization in Cairo native. This is more of a performance issue, less as any blocker to anyone. But given that the existing blockifier has all the code to handle native, then we feel that it's fine to wait for this for this optimization. If anyone is interested, it's related to how arrays are handled in Cairo native. They are cloned on write, and it can be done in a way where arrays are never cloned. So they will change it.
So,
Will be another Cairo native release, but that's not blocking the blockifier release candidate or the upgrade.
so do we have any tentative timeline for that optimization to come up? Or we are
I
not sure right now?
don't want to commit on any timelines, because this is completely Lambda class territory, and we've only been discussing it this week. But as far as I understand, given the existing infrastructure in Cairo native, this is not a complicated change. It's only touching a lot of places. So I assume it will take, I don't know, a week to implement for someone who's very familiar with the code.
Okay.
But I don't know how long until it's incorporated in the sequencer.
Okay, makes sense. So now let's hear from our client teams. Christian, let's start with Pathfinder. And so how's the fee estimation implementation progressing? I believe the team was also working on the L1 gas calculations, right?
Oh, yes. So we are, in fact, still working on the fee estimation algorithm, implementing the binary search. It seems that we are constantly finding out new things like when exactly do we need to do the binary search? Are there any cases where we can avoid doing the binary search and so on? There were a lot of questions raised during this implementation work. We hope to be ready with at least an initial implementation by early next week. And then we'll release a beta version of Pathfinder that should be feature complete with respect to Starknet 0.13.4 and JSON RPC 0.8. So that's pretty much our progress. And if everything goes well, we'll release a stable release by next Thursday, the date we have previously agreed on.
Okay. Thanks, Christian. And Rodrigo, over to you for Juno now. So how's the Blockifier integration coming along? Any progress and any progress on the WebSocket implementation we discussed last time?
Yeah, so we merged the Blockifier, the latest release candidate available. So it's now part of Juno. We're currently working on the CMHV as well. So we're dealing with that. Secondly, regarding WebSockets, we did a complete refactor of the RPC package. So we can make it easy to maintain, add, remove new versions. Yeah, and these weeks have been a lot of testing and finding minor bugs in general. So yeah, that's for Juno.
Okay, then Nathan, if you can share about like Kaiser's latest progress, particularly like in the P2P implementation and the network deployment plans you mentioned in the last call. Nathan, you are not audible.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you
Yeah,
now.
so we are stabilizing the Madara core code base. So it appears that at first we thought that Snows needed to. So we are relying on Snows for app chains, and it appears that Snows uses Blockifier and won't update Blockifier to the next version. But we are still in discussions on how to merge the new Blockifier update without compromising app chains deployment. We are still looking for that. Apart from that, so anything that will be related to the core for the next versions will be implemented, but in a branch, and then we will try to merge it for the next release ASAP. Related to P2P, we are still doing testing and improving it. We will sync with Nethermind to implement our P2P first version in their testing suite. And maybe Elliot, which is here for consensus, could give us an update.
Sure.
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So consensus it's in early works right now. We've been mostly focusing on the message streaming to be sure we can easily receive new messages and be able to treat them as we're receiving. This is mostly the progress that's been done right now, aside from some internal type boilerplate, is just the networking. And I think there's going to be a section on that later on P2P consensus specs. So yeah, a few questions related to that. Should I ask them then?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to double check. Is it correct that the streamed messages for the consensus are assumed to be streamed one proposal part at a time? Essentially, is it implied that we can start processing transactions in batch as we're receiving the stream? I don't know if there's anybody here working on the P2P consensus specs.
We don't have Anik here today. He might have been able to answer. No worries.
Okay,
We can
sorry.
move this conversation to the Slack channel.
Yeah. I was just hoping there could be someone here.
Okay, so next on the agenda is Malachite integration updates, and Adi is here. So we would love to hear about the DevNet testing plans and how the protobuf definition alignment is progressing, and any updates on the integration support status.
Yeah, so there's three topics, I guess. The first one on DevNet, we are, yes, on that topic, we're trying to recreate or reproduce with the scripts that exist in Papyrus so that we can simply deploy a local testnet with Papyrus and then get that to be able to talk with a Malachite-based sequencer. I think there was a conversation today, this morning. I wasn't there with Matan because the scripts were either incomplete or we were running into a couple of edge cases. So we weren't able to really deploy a local testnet, but it's going. And I think after the discussion with Matan, we got unblocked. On the second topic, the proto definitions, to keep it simple, it seems like there's alignment between the Starknet team and Malachite teams. I think Trantorian, this might be an issue where that you are running into. You might be using kind of older specs, or I don't know. But I will copy Romain from our team that could be able to help. And then support for integration, supporting for Pathfinder and Madara teams. We didn't get any specific requests so far. I can see that you guys are busy with other things. We kind of interpreted it no news is good news. We tried to anticipate some issues by doing a bit of kind of internal experiments and working on clarifying a bunch of things on that are part of the low-level APIs in Malachite that will be used by Madara and Pathfinder. I won't go into the details of what are those edge cases, but they have to do with how do you handle multiple proposers for the same height and round. So if you could have a Byzantine proposer and they could just send two proposals, that two blocks that could conflict for the same height and round, and there's some edge cases to be handled there that both the application and the core Malachi library have to be aware of. And then there's a couple of others that I forget. One had to do, I think, with signature aggregation, which may not be relevant, but may also be relevant. We don't know yet, but it will depend on the exact integration.
Mm-hmm. Antonio?
Yeah, the issue we're running into with the specs right now is specifically related to the consensus.proto. While the other parts, the mempool and the sync, are rather well spec'd, including a pretty extensive flow of the communication protocols, this isn't very present yet for consensus.proto. And as far as I understand, this is still work in progress. Can you maybe comment to when this is planned to be stabilized, and if a lot is still meant to change?
Yeah, we're mostly consuming the ones from Starknet P2P specs. I think from our side, they are considered stable. This is what Romain actually told me in the morning, that they are aligned and we consider them stable. It could be that you just are not aware of the right branch or the right version of those.
No, this is on main. This is on main.
Exactly.
If you go on consensus.proto, like, it's work in progress, will change.
Okay, then let me ask for more details and we'll write in the integration channel because I don't have the answer off the top of mind.
So we have completed the agenda for today. So before we wrap up, does anyone have any other business they would like to discuss or raise? Okay, so perfect. So thank you everyone for your time today. Just a few quick reminders. Meeting notes will be posted on GitHub as usual, and our next call will be on Feb 27th, same time. So please continue any technical discussions in the Slack channel, and keep in mind that Feb 20th is a deadline for client teams. And have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.